Loompa. I've received a report from a Mr. Charlie Bucket and his grandpa Joe about the events leading up to the disappearance of 4 children in your workplace. Could you share some light on this predicament? It was Monday the 8th of October, the Oompa Loompa began. It started off just like any other day, tending to the lukewarm chocolate river, a sight that would make any chocolate lover's lip quiver. First came along young Augustus Gloop, who was so large he was bursting out of his suit. He saw our chocolate river, and oh, how his lips did quiver. He was a greedy young thing who had his eyes just on one thing. He took a big leap and ended up face deep. He ignored any advice and was soon out of sight, disappearing into that lukewarm chocolate river. We know this already, yelled the detective. Get to the point! The Oompa Loompa continued. He got sucked up a pipe which was a little too tight. He became stuck in that pipe and caused quite a fright. He went straight to a room that would relieve his doom. He was so full of chocolate, there was only one way to stop it. He needed to laugh, and it took a time and a half. Jokes didn't work, but we danced till it hurt. His eyes lit up, and soon enough, the laugh that we needed had succeeded. His mouth opened wide, and with nowhere to hide, all the chocolate was now supplied. So, he was okay, the detective said as he took some notes. Now, tell us about Violet Beauregard. Given good manners, you will go. Violet Beauregard was a girl with an obsession. Her chewing the same piece of gum for 3 months definitely left an impression. She was a competitive sort, from her gum to her sport, and the trophies that came along with it. She grabbed some gum that wasn't quite done and ate it against Wonka's wishes. She realized her mistake when a change in her shape resulted from eating that gum. Her face turned blue, and it took quite a crew to roll her to Wonka's juicing room. Mr. Loompa, do not make me ask you again. Get to the point, yelled the detective. You know exactly who's to. We had to act fast to avoid a juice blast. We spun her round as fast as we could until all the juice was gone for good. We couldn't stop there, as that would be unfair. Her face was still blue, and we had to pursue. To reverse the effects of being blue, there was something she had to do. It may seem mean that only she could eat food that was green. Her color returned, and a lesson was learned. And what about that other little girl? Something Pepper, asked the detective. Ah, yes, Veruca Salt, replied the Oompa Loompa. Veruca Salt was a rich little girl who had a father that would buy her anything, from a pony to a bike to a shiny white pearl. In Willy Wonka's factory, she saw something that caught her eye, a golden goose that laid golden chocolate eggs, which she asked her daddy to buy. Willy Wonka said, "No, you cannot buy my goose." Veruca got mad and threw a tantrum like wild animals on the loose. She was mistaken as a bad egg and fell down the chute, where she landed in garbage and suddenly became a mute. Mr. Loompa, I will not ask you again. Sorry, detective, replied the Oompa Loompa. To get her voice back, she had to be kind, though she only had 3 hours, which could mean leaving her small voice behind. So she was forced to be nice, which was a huge sacrifice, as she was a girl that was not easily pleased, and children she met always felt teased. But with some help from some staff on a couple of small tasks, she received her voice back relatively fast. Interesting, said the detective as he took a bite of his donut. Charlie also mentioned something about a small, square-eyed little boy. If you're not greedy, Mike TV was obsessed with television. He's kept his eyes on it, watching it with exact precision. Mike was not short, nor was he tall, but after being transmitted by Wonkavision, he was ever so small. He was put in a teeny tiny bag and taken away, where we had to find a way for him to grow, or else he would stay. To make himself grow, he had to eat chocolate cake, but he took too big of a bite and grew so tall his head hit the ceiling light. What else could he do apart from take another bite? So that's what he did, and he shrunk back to his normal height. I am very glad they are all okay, Mr. Loompa, but you haven't answered my first question. Where are they? Yelled the detective. Oh, why didn't you just say that? Answered the Oompa Loompa. I have no idea. After I taught them their lessons, I sent them on their way. Interesting, answered the detective. Thanks for your time, Mr. Loompa. We'll be in touch. Bring in Mr. Willy Wonka!
I've got a perfect puzzle for you. Oompa, loompa, doopa-dee-dee. If you are wise, you'll listen to me.
What do you get when you guzzle down sweets?
Eating as much as an elephant.